Hello and welcome down onto the tech desk, and in today's video we've got a modification for your Dualsense, and it is this. It's the Extremerate, the whole Clicky kit. Okay, which means we're going to get Clicky on the D-pad, Clicky on the buttons, and Clicky on the triggers as well. Okay, so this is the whole kit, not just the buttons. Okay, there are some other kits where you can just do the buttons if you want. I'll maybe do that for another video, but this one is going to be for the whole kit. Okay, so things that you need for this are obviously the Extremerate whole Clicky kit, which I will go through in a second, but you're also going to need a Dualsense controller, but it's got to be BDM-030, which is the latest iteration of the Dualsense. Now, do you have a BDM-030? I'm not sure, but go and grab your controller because I can do a really quick check on it. So go and grab your Dualsense. Have you got it? Okay, right. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to get one of your triggers. You're going to push it down there and you're going to look in the gap between R1 and R2, or L1 and L2, and you'll see in there, you'll see a coil. If yours has that, then this is a 030. It will also be written on the board inside, but that's the way to be able to check. Now, I will leave links down in the description of where I've got this one, but I won't be 100% sure that you're getting the 030. But the way to look out for it is if you go onto the Amazon link, have a look. Manufacture date was in 2023. Okay, so like I saw a blue one, I saw a pink one, I saw a black one. They were all 2020, 2021, 2022. They won't be 030. This one was. Okay, so that's what you're going to need. Okay, so this won't work with the others. This is the one. So there we've got that, and then also you get with a kit. So this is one. This is my second kit. So this is a brand new kit. You get a board. You get some other plastic pieces. You get some other rubber pieces that we'll be using, and then you also get a prying tool and a screwdriver, and you get a load of other screws as well. So these are the screws that came in the kit that we might be needing later on. And also what I suggest is getting, well, I personally have got a bigger screwdriver, so this is a 2.0 screwdriver. I just find it more comfortable to use than the little one that comes. You can use this, no problem. I just like to have a bigger one. Also, you're going to need a pair of pliers. These are metal pliers, and there's a couple of rods in there that you have to pull out. It's a bit hard with metal ones. But I'll leave links down below of where you can get some kind of like plasticky, almost 3D printed version ones. They're better for grip on metal. And some wire cutters as well. You don't need these. These are for the optional piece, of which I'll go through in a bit. On the other one, I did cut. I'm not going to be cutting this one because there's a way of completely eliminating the adaptive triggers. Completely optional, but if you go through the video and you find out you want to cut it, you're going to need some wire cutters. And then finally, I've just got myself one of these, which is a metallic pad, just so when I take the screws out I can put it on here, and just so I know where it is and remember it going backwards. So as I said, I'll leave links down below where you can get hold of the kit and where you can get hold of these bits. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go and jump into the mod. So here we go, let's crack on then. And with the Dualsense, the first bit is dead simple. You're going to be basically taking this black piece off. You can use the prying tool if you want, but I can't just find that my nails are just as good. And you're going to pick that bit off there, and then that bit off there. And then once that's off, just make your way up the controller. Okay, and then take that off. And then put that to one side to keep it safe, because we'll be putting that back on in a second. And then next up, what you're going to do is going to take out 2 screws. That's one silver screw there and one silver screw there. So get those 2 popped out. And then for the top bit here, you see R1 and L1. What you're going to do is you're just going to pick them out, okay? So this is where the prying tool comes in. All you can do is just pop it out like so, okay? Really easy. Pull the trigger down, prying tool in underneath, pop it up. Okay, and then once that's up, there's 2 screws, there's one there and there's one there, so get those 2 taken out. So next, prying tool again, onto the controller here. There's a flap there and a flap there. Let's pop that one out, pop that one out. And then you're going to run your prying tool all around here, all around there, the edges of the controller. Okay, then the black plate will just snap off. I'll put that to one side because we'll be doing that with that later. Now we're going to pop out the battery. So if you just hold the battery, you'll see that there's a white connector in there. Just kind of gently wiggle it out using the cables. Put it to one side, we'll be putting that in later. And now here, it's a good idea with using the tweezers here, is we're going to be taking out the microphone, which is this piece here. You've just got to be very careful, okay? So to kind of just free it from its seating, because it's hooked in this side. There we go, okay? So get that out and just be very careful, just to put it to one side, okay? Because we won't be kind of like doing anything with it. I mean, you can unplug it if you want to, but I just find it easier just to leave it in. So just be careful when you're putting that there, just leave it there so it doesn't get ripped out. And then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do 3 screws. Okay, so there's a bunch of screws here. You're kind of ignoring these 3 here. You're gonna be doing this one, and this one. So they're kind of 2 edge screws and the center one. So get those 3 popped out. And then this, once you've got that screw out, this black plastic bit here, that will just come out. Just make sure you take it out. Okay, again, put that to one side. We're going to be needing that later. Now we're going to pull out like a bunch of cables. There's 1, 2, 3 cables, 4 cables you're going to be pulling out. Okay, so again, you can use your tweezers if you want to, but you can use your hands. So this one here, popped out that one there. Then you're going to do this one here, and that one, and then that one. Okay, so let's pull that one out. It's just easier to do it with my hands. And with this one here. And then finally this one over here. Like so. So you've got the 3 blue and the brown one next to the microphone. Then once that's done, if you kind of grip over here with these bits here, you can just pull it off and it comes off of the front shell, okay? We're going to be working with this bit, so just put this to one side, okay? So now we're going to be dealing with these. So these are the face buttons, so pull off the rubber piece there. You're not going to be needing that, so put that to one side. You see here with the buttons here, they've got a hole in the center. Okay, you're going to be putting a rubber piece in each of those 4. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. You can just drop it in. So get the rubber piece. It's like a pin. See the top bit, so it obviously goes in this way. You can pop them in like so, like that. Or if you want to, pop them out like that. Pop it in and then just put it back, whichever way you find easiest. I'll be honest with you, I just found it easier just to pop them in while it's in the... Just make sure that they're pushed down so you've got all 4 holes filled with the kind of the rubber bungs, so to speak. And then finally for this bit is you're going to be swapping over this one. So you're going to take this one off for the D-pad. You aren't going to need that one. You will need that one, so just make sure you separate them. So you won't need this one again. Put that to one side. And then grab the one from the kit. And all you're going to do is you're going to place it onto the D-pad and just make sure it's properly on. Okay, you'll see that there's, when you're placing it on, that these bits here need to go inside of the D-pad buttons. Okay. Just make sure that that's nicely on. Okay, now put it to one side because we're going to be working on this bit now further on. And what we're going to do now is we're going to be taking out 3 screws. We're going to be doing both sides, but we'll just do the first one, which is the left one, and then we'll do the right hand one. So you're going to be taking out 3 screws, which is this one, and this one. So get those popped out. And then there's a few things that you need to be taking out. So here, this piece here is separate from the controller. So you need to pop this out, okay? Now the easiest way I've found to do this is kind of like just using my finger and just popping it out from the corner there. So holding that corner there and just popping it out. And then once that's popped out, you can just take it out, okay? So move that to one side. Next up, you're going to be removing this piece. This is like the motor piece, and you can see which piece it is because it has a metal rod in the middle of it. So again, just using the tweezers, I would just kind of pick it out. And then this metal rod here, which is holding your trigger in, you need to take this metal rod out. Now, what I was saying earlier about the kind of 3D printed plasticky tweezers, they're probably a little bit better here because they're better grip, okay? But let's see how we get on. So there's a metal rod you need to be pulling out. Okay, so I've got it there. So pull that metal rod out and leave it there, and then this trigger just slides off. Okay, so you've taken these 4 pieces off, all relatively simple. Okay, now it's just a case of doing it for the other side. So 1, 2, 3 screws, then the big plastic bit, small plastic bit, and then the rod and the trigger. Okay, so get those 3 popped out. So just a note, it's probably best if you just hold this because it can come a little bit loose. So again, we're going to take this bit out using your finger onto that corner piece and just pop it up like so. Take that bit out. Then with your tweezers, you're going to be taking this piece out like so, and then hopefully with my metal tweezers we should be able to take this rod out fairly easily. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's the rod out, followed by the trigger. Okay, a couple of little fiddly bits now is if you hold it and you hold it up here so it's kind of facing you like this way. Okay, have a look in there, you'll see that there's 2 rubber caps on either side. What you need to do is get your tweezers and just pull those rubber caps out. Okay, both sides, one side onto the right, one side on the left. Just be careful because there's this underneath it, which is kind of like a membrane board. We're going to be taking this off now. Just be careful when you're taking these out that you don't pull up the board as well. So if you look in here, there's a board in there. Let me just fish it out. You're going to grab that and just feed it through there like so. Okay, so it's above the board. So you've got that there like that. And then the other side, there's a kind of a membrane piece. Take it and pull it through like so. Okay, so if you've got the kind of like flap, so it's kind of like it's separated itself, this membrane bit from the controller itself. And there's one more thing to just ping off for the board. We need to take this board off. So if the board comes off, that's great. If not, there will be a couple of latches up there you need to push. But as you can see, mine's already come off. If you kind of be careful and spin this over, you shall see in there is a piece of membrane inside there. We're just on 2 hooks. All you can do is just pull them off the hook like so. Then once that's done, you can flip it over, and then it's attached by a rod there and a rod there. Just pull it off. Okay, just very gently pull it off and make it so all the way around to the next one. Pull that off gently and then pull that off. And then we have this. We need to put this over somewhere. If you want to reverse the process, keep this. Otherwise, you could just put it to one side. Just keep it nice and safe. Now, remember what I was saying earlier about having the wire cutters. Now, this an optional piece you can do is you can disable the adaptive motors. That would mean you wouldn't, when you're playing it, the adaptive motors will make a noise as it's trying to do. You can turn that off if you want to by cutting. I come up here, cutting the green and the yellow wires. You can do this but it's completely optional. That just means it will cut the power to the adaptive triggers and you wouldn't have the motor spinning in the background. I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to be cutting these just because I might want to reverse it for this, because this is going to be my BDM-030 test controller for other mods, so I won't be doing that. And if you're like me and you don't do that, you have to go into the settings of your PS5 and just turn off adaptive triggers, because remember, we're doing the full Clicky kit, so it's the triggers and the buttons as well. So cut the yellow and green if you want to. If you don't want to, go into the PS5 settings, turn off adaptive triggers, and then it won't try and kind of like fire it every time you press the triggers. Now we're going to move on and spin the controller over so it's like that, and just let the board there just dangle underneath it, and grab your first bit from the kit, which is going to be this piece here. And then you see this gold bit here, you're going to get that through that slot there. Okay, so put it through that slot, just lay it down, and where the holes are there, the clicky holes there, just press them onto those bits there. Remember when we pulled them off? going to do is just going to press them on just because it keeps it a little bit secure as we turn it over. Okay, so there's one there, one there, one there, and one there. That one's not really in very well, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Turn the whole thing over. Now be very careful. What we're going to do is what we did earlier when we took it off. We're going to bend this piece over like so and get it onto those rods there like so. Okay, so it keeps it nice and secure. So we've got one side done there, and then poke the other one on like so. So they're both in like that, and then put this over like that, and just make sure that the cables have been tangled or caught up under the board. And then two final other kind of like securing clips is up the top here. There, that will poke into that corner, and there's a piece over here. Then once that's on like that, it should be nice and flat on there, and we've got these two wiggly bits here that we're going to be kind of like putting through here. So once that's nice and flat, we're going to be onto probably the fiddliest part of the whole mod, and it's getting these bits in. Okay, so these bits here. Now if you'll see here, these bits on the corner, they need to be fed through there, and this bit sits in there with this bit coming out. Okay, it honestly, it does make sense when you're sat there with it, but you've just got to make sure when you do it, the cable wraps nicely around to this bit in there, and then you have this bit poking out. You're going to grab this piece here, and you'll see that they both say L2 and R2. So L2 there, you see that? So that's for the left side, which we're doing now. And then the R2 says there, that's for the right side. So this is the left-hand side. So we're going to need L2. Okay, let's see if I can do this while holding it. Okay, so there. I'm going to put this metal bit, clip it into that bit there. Okay, so it's attached to that metal bit. Trust me, it does make sense when you are using it. It's just a little bit fiddly of feeding the cable all the way around and then putting them on. Okay, so that is the kind of like the fiddliest bit out of the whole thing. And the way that you can tell that you've got it right is if you look very closely here, there's like the clicky blue button there. That should be kind of more to the right than the left if you're looking at it this way. You're going to need to grab the rubber piece, one of the rubber pieces from the kit. So that one says R, you won't be able to see that because it's very small lettering, and this one says L. And you want to put these onto that, so the raised bit of this rubber bit, so this raised bit here is above that blue bit. Okay, so pop that on. You can use your fingers, or you can use, it's really easy to use your fingers, you don't need this so much. And then what you're going to do is out of the kit, is grab this, okay, and take out one of those squares. Okay, so the wire cutters are probably going to be easier for this, so let's just cut them there. Get to there. Now with your tweezers and your square bit of kind of black paper, so to speak, you're going to feed, so it's between the blue button and the rubber bit, okay, through that gap that is in the rubber thing there. So just feed that in, making sure that it's all the way in. Okay, so I've got the plastic button, then I've got the paper, and then I've got the rubber bit. I'm just going to put that back onto there like that. And now we're going to do the right side. So this is this one, that's the right hand side of the controller. The plastic bit with the R2 written on there, and the rubber bit there that says R. And again, a little bit fiddly, but just make sure that if you're holding this, that this bit, this corner here doesn't get creased. Okay, so kind of just feed that around, and you'll see that it starts to get creased. If you just press it with the tweezers, it will go in without it being creased. Okay, like I was saying, this is the most fiddliest bit of the build. And then this first black piece, sits in this hole. Just feed it down into like that, and it will sit inside. And then this piece here just dangles out while we add it to this piece, the R piece. Pop it onto the end of the R piece like that, and it will stay in there. It will kind of like clip in. And then this is the R rubber piece. Remember, the bit that's raised up goes over the blue button on there, so we know that it's going to go this way. So that's on. And then the gap is that side, and we're going to get one of those pieces of paper again from the kit and just poke it into that gap. Right. Next up, we're going to put the triggers back on. So this is R2, so let's start over here. The way to do this is this top bit there, it gets hooked onto there. So hook it on really easily, and then push it down, and you should be almost straight away lined up for your rod. So poke your rod in, and then you can test it to make sure it goes down okay. Really simple. And then over on the other side, get your O trigger, hook it onto this bit first, onto the front there like that, really easy. Push it back, and then you can get your rod, and it should just go straight in like so. Now I'm going to put these dangly black bits back on. So where your rod is there, that's going to line up with this hole here on the black piece here, this black piece there. So hook that over like so, and then just push it down like so. And then if you can see, my rubber pad has moved up a little bit, so just make sure that's nicely sat on there by pushing it down. Okay, and then that's it. That should be kind of fairly solid, but it won't move from there. And again, over to the other side, metal rod, bit with a hole on the other side, hook that over like that, and then push it down so it kind of almost clips in. And there we go. You can already see that that's already in nicely anyway. So just make sure that they're nicely seated, okay? And they should be kind of like, so you can't really move them from the board. Next up, we're going to screw these back in. So there's 2 screws we're going to put in. We remember we took 3 out for these. We're not going to be using these. We're just going to be using the ones from the kit. And there's 2 places you want to screw one in there and one in there. Just make sure this plastic bit there is nice and secured as far down as it can go. There should be no gap between the black bit there and the white bit there, and then the black bit there and the black bit there. There should be no gaps. Just make sure that's nice and secure, and then just get those 2 screws plumbed in. Similarly with the other side, there's again just 2 screws. We're going to use the kit. So 1 screw there and 1 screw there. Just make sure that's nicely clipped in and secure. We'll be putting 2 of the screws again from the kit into those 2. Then once they're in, you'll notice that there's a load of flappy cables around here. We're actually going to just tie these back. So this cable here, this black cable here, just get it as flat as you can, kind of over to the side here. And then with this one with the blue thing, if you fold it over, it makes it nice and neat. And we're going to stick that over. So if you go into the kit, you'll see this. They're actually strips of sticky, like so. If you get one of them, and then all we're going to do is we're going to stick this cable over like so, so it's nice and neat. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so we're using this white cable here to pin back this black cable just so it doesn't get in the way. And then the same with the other side. We're just going to get this black cable kind of as much over to the side as possible, fold this one over and get it stuck down there. So let's get another piece of this. Like that. fold that over, stick it down to the controller. So that's nice and neat either side. Nice time here now just to check that they are nice and clicky, which they should be, and then we'll do the bumpers in a bit, but they should be sounding good. And we're going to now put this back into here, so just be careful of this cable here when we put it on, and the only reason you won't be able to get this in is because of the thumbsticks, so just give it a bit of a wiggle underneath, okay, like that, just to make sure that the thumbsticks go through. And also the cable under here as well, which just need to make sure is out of the way, so like so, get it nicely seated on there. And then we have this blue cable here and this one here, so just poke those back in. And then this one back in. So we have them both in like so. Next up, get this piece back and lay it down, hook it under the microphone like so, and then we're going to put the microphone back in. So it's kind of easy with the things, because you need to poke that bit into this little slot over the other side. Like so. Be very careful. So we've ignored these 6 here, and then we're going to move on to these 3, but again we're going to be using 3 from the kit, and you're going to be putting them into a hole there, there and there. So get those 3 plumbed in with screws from the kit. And what we're going to do now is get the battery back in. So just get it, just make sure it's going to be plumbed in the correct way. Poke it in, very easy, and then lay it down like so. And grab the back shell over here and fit it on. Now the best way to do this is kind of starting up where the triggers are, because you need to get the triggers through first, and then once they're through you can start snapping it back like that. And then spinning it over, we've got these 2 screws first, so just make sure you use the 2. We can use the 2 that we originally pulled out, so get those 2 put back in. These as well, so L1 and R1, really simple. This is L. You're going to do is place them on and then just push them in. Okay, so get them into like that, just push them in, we're done. Same with this one. Place it on and then push it in like so. And then those 2 screws as well, again use the 2 that we originally took out of the controller. Get those put back in. Then one final thing was good. This one, the best way to do this is hooking it over the thumbsticks, pulling it back and poking these in like so, so we get them into the top underneath kind of this thing, and then just shuffling it forward. Okay, so over the thumbsticks, in the tops there, and then down either side like so. Just making sure that is on, and there we are. So there we have it then, that's my look at this. It's installing the Extremerate whole Clicky kit for your Dualsense. Okay, so let's have a quick listen. Absolutely fantastic, such a lovely experience. Again, as I said before, you will lose the adaptive triggers, but if you want kind of like a spare controller that has this, fantastic, feels really, really good. Okay, again, as I said, go and change any settings, turn adaptive triggers off so you don't get the motors rumbling, and that's how to install the kit. I hope you liked the video. I hope it's been useful for you. I hope I've given you some tips and tricks. Please do like, please do subscribe. Until the next video, bye bye.